Greetings fellas, welcome back to my guide videos. This time, I'm going to be introducing a new Kafka build that not many Kafka players and mains will use in their accounts, and this is the pure Debuffer Kafka build, which is solely aimed to apply defense down and shock status so that it can be a springboard to Silver Wolf, which likes defense down targets, and for other Nihility units like Sampo if you have him at a higher level and wish to use him as a main carry, which is possible. So the thing is with Kafka is that she can apply defense down with follow-up attacks too, and follow-up attacks do a lot of instance hits, like around 6 to 8 hits if I counted that properly. So now let's go for the build. For this build, it'll be resolution shines as pearls of sweat, and this is the same build that I use with my sample. So this means that Kafka will definitely need a lot of superimpositions for this resolution shines as pearl of sweat, because she does not have enough instances in both her basic attack and skill to produce the amount of defense downs that Sampo can easily provide. So this means that if you are going to go for a Kafka build like this, it is best to get her as high as level as possible. Why so? Because you want to aim for the effect hit rate, and this means that Sampo at level 20, and I used him a lot in my M-onke 10 clears and my 0 cycle clears. This is my main defense down applicator, which is Sampo, and the reason why Sampo is so good in doing that is because he has so many instances in his hits. For example, basic attack, he's got 2 on single target. And then skill, he has 5 hits and can be even more with Eidolon's 1. So this means he's getting 1 extra hit from here. And this means he does not need to have a effect hit rate on his body piece and his traces. No need for that at all, since he is having so many instances of hits. And for his ultimate, he's dealing damage to all enemies 3 times, so that means 3 instances per enemy, and this is enough to apply defense down via resolution shines as pearl of sweat. However, for Kafka it's a bit different. She has only 1 instance on her ultimate, 2 instances on her basic attack, and 2 instances on her skill, plus 1 extra on adjacent enemies, because this is a blast skill. So this means that the Sampo is actually so much better than Kafka in applying defense down. And why I say Kafka needed her level up is because she needs the effect hit rate on her body and on her sub-traces. So for the relic slots, assuming that your Kafka is at very high level, Eagle of Twilight Line is going to be the best in slot for this application. However, in my previous videos, when I did the 0 cycle clear for the Stellaron Hunter trio, I found that when I didn't use Eagle of Twilight Line, I felt that it was a lot harder to apply defense down. And since that Silver Wolf is having Eagle of Twilight Line, Bronya also having Eagle of Twilight Line, so that means Kafka needs to keep up with their speed and their turns and the rotations. So if Kafka does not have Eagle of Twilight Line, then it is a busted build. This build is pretty much into the trash bins. That's what I want to say. And this build unfortunately requires a lot of investment, and I don't recommend doing this. However, for those Kafka mains who want to try this build, feel free to do so. So this means having an Eagle of Twilight Line, you will definitely want your Kafka to be as high level as possible. And for the body piece, you want effect hit rate instead of defense. Sampo can use defense, that's totally fine. But for Kafka, she will need effect hit rate because she does not do enough instances on her skill and basic attack as well as her ultimate in order to proc the resolution shines as pearl of sweat. So this means that Kafka needs an effect hit rate body, and that is a final. And then for the sub-stats wise, you will want to focus on speed. Effectively, your Kafka should be faster than your Silver Wolf. Imagine that you want to use her in the same team as Silverwolf. So ideally, Kafka will be faster than Silverwolf, then Silverwolf will use her defense down, apply on the enemies, so that this can proc before the tutorial mission starts at turn 1. So this means that Kafka provides a springboard for Silverwolf so that she gets an extra energy bonus, and this is what I've been doing with my sample. So this means that again and again I have been telling you that this build is a very high investment and is not really worth it, but you are welcome to try. And for your 2-piece set, you definitely want to have a Fleet of the Ageless or a Broken Keel, in case that if you want more survivability on your Kafka, then you will be using an Fleet of the Ageless. But then if you're going to be having supporting units that prefers crit damage over attack, for example Blade, then you will be using a Broken Keel, because Blade likes his crit damage more than the attack bonus that Fleet of the Ageless provides. So with this tool set in mind, we will be using double defense, or you can even use a lightning damage boost in case you want to squeeze out a little bit more damage. However, in the 0 cycle clear run, you'll definitely be stacking more defense than HP most of the time. And this means that if you're stacking defense, then you have stats like this, and it is pretty good enough. See, like my Bronya, we are having 3.6k HP, 1.8k defense around there, and then Silverwolf can go up to 1.4k defense and 3.6k HP. So then again, for Kafka, you want to stack as much survivability as possible and make sure that your speed is faster than Silverwolf's speed. So in my case, my Silverwolf can go up to 145 speed. So imagine that your Kafka can go up to 150 speed and above, then that's good for you. However, you make sure that your Kafka is at least 134 speed. That is what I want to say. And for that, you can have a Bronya at 134 speed, you can have a Silverwolf at 135 speed, Kafka at 136 speed, and let's say your main DPS at 97 speed, or even let's say 90 speed, for example, if you're using a slower DPS. The relic choices here is pretty much interchangeable. You can use 2-piece speed set, 2-piece Knight of Purity Palace in case you are worried that, for example, your Kafka is not tanky enough to take the hits, or for example, if your Silverwolf is having Genius of Brilliant Stars and Bronya using the speed set Messenger Traversing Hacker Space, then Kafka will definitely not use an Eagle of Twilight Line and use a Knight of Purity Palace and a Lightning set, or Musketeer of Wildweed, or you can even use a speed set, up to you, as long as you get your speed up to 134 and above. For Kafka's Eidolons, it is not needed at all since she is not dealing damage in a pure debuffer build. However, one Eidolon to take note of is 4. So when enemy target takes damage from the shock status inflicted by Kafka, Kafka additionally regenerates 2 energy. So that means you get another chance and instance of applying a defense down. And this means that you have more use for shocks, more use for defense downs, more springboard uptime, and more Silverwolf before the tutorial mission starts uptime. For this kind of team and application, you will be running a triple Stellaron Hunter team for a 0 cycle clear. So this means Kafka, Silverwolf, Blade, and Bronya. So this means that you don't need a healer unless you have Luocha, and Luocha is running E6. This means that he will reduce all type rest by 20% upon using ultimate. However, for those players who do not have an E6 Luocha, that is totally fine. We will use a Bronya instead, and this allows Bronya to speed up Blade and Blade following Bronya's speed. So this means that you will have a unit like Silverwolf who will apply defense down, all type effect rest down, and also Kafka to support Silverwolf and to support Blade's damage potential. For this example right here, you can see that Silverwolf is going to implant her weakness, and then Kafka using her ultimate, and this means that Kafka is going to be applying defense reduction on the second decaying shadow of 14% via ensnarement, and this also means that Blade is going to deal more damage. Silverwolf's light cone is going to be activating upon hitting a defense down target. However, in this example, this is not the best showcase, as Silverwolf is faster than Kafka here, and this also means that Kafka having a Knight of Purity Palace is not as good when you're pairing with other support characters with Eagle of Twilight Line. For example, in my case, Silverwolf and Bronya having double Eagle of Twilight Line so that Kafka can keep up with their speed. So whenever Silverwolf hits a defense down target, she will be getting more energy, that's for sure. However, this defense down only lasts for one turn, so keep that in mind. So when Blade is on his damaging phase, it is best to save Kafka's ultimate for that time. And this also means that whenever Kafka is going to be applying a defense down, you will also have to time on whether you want to break the enemy at that moment or not. Since if you're dealing damage to weakness broken enemies, you get a damage bonus. Keep that in mind. So as you can see, there's a 0 cycle clear here, and this is with a Kafka with Knight Purity Palace. However, this is not the best showcase. So this is all for the pure Debuffer Kafka build. I hope you learned something from this. Like I said before, this build is very high investment and I don't recommend it, but feel free to try this build. Cheers!